Okay, so this is my, I believe, 6th attempt at getting a reading for you. Everything I seemed to read went over just like a few seconds and then couldn't be edited down for some reason, so I've been working on it for 2 hours, and I hope you enjoy it. This is from Battle of the Network Zombies. It's just a little clip that doesn't give away anything really, but, you know, you get to see Karkaroff and Marthe, which a lot of people like, so that's it. Amanda, darling! Elizabeth Karkaroff stomped down the corridor from her office in vintage Chanel boucle and scooped me up in her arms. So good to see you! I squeezed my stomach in as she continued to tighten her grip, fully expecting my ribs to crack before she let go. Nice to see you too, Elizabeth. She relaxed her arms and stood back a bit, assessing me. I'm counting on you, and I know you can pull this agency back from the brink. It would have been nice to know what I was getting into, I said, thinking again about the death threats on Birch and the Yeti attack, rather than my part in the reality show. I'd have thought you'd be thrilled. Her voice carried a hint of hurt, and her lips pursed. Marthe crossed her arms and judged as per usual. Well, I certainly don't mind the exposure, and I imagine I'll do better just being me. Exactly! Her hand shot forward and clutched my biceps forcefully. A spasm passed through me. And who doesn't love unbridled Amanda? No one, Marthe added, shaking her head. Well, maybe soccer moms. Elizabeth sneered at my assistant. What? She asked, then gestured to me. I'm talking about her potty mouth. I suppose they were right. After all, I myself love unbridled Amanda. Still, it would have been nice to know that Birch had been getting death threats. A Yeti attacked us last night. I don't imagine that was part of the pitch he threw you. Oh, please, Elizabeth waved off the remark. Who doesn't want to kill Birch? I can't name a species he hasn't fucked, defrauded, or fouled in some way or another. He's a complete Neanderthal, and everyone knows it. That the woodland types have turned against him doesn't surprise me in the slightest. She pivoted on her Givenchy stilettos and slinked off into her office, speaking over her shoulder. Karkaroff had an unhealthy relationship with scale. Her office was long, thin, and shiny as a wet birth canal. The perspective was forced as a De Chirico painting, walls slick with subway tile, narrowed the full length of the building to just enough space on either side of Karkaroff's desk for the woman to saunter around. The place echoed and was a tad claustrophobic if you ask me, but she didn't. She never did. I thought of Birch's voice and the shimmer of sound that filled the room in sensual warmth, brought on by the cold air pumping into the space. He has his merits. Oh, Amanda. Don't tell me you've fallen for his little song and dance. I shrugged. Of course not. He has an interesting voice is all I'm saying. There's a reason why people are drawn to him. It's not like charm. It's not his charm. I can tell you that much. Like a swarm of locusts stripping a field. Vile sounds from an even more contemptible being. Elizabeth scraped a fresh French manicure across the subway tile. They squeaked and ticked like a needle on a broken record. I should have... Her voice trailed off, and the long hall was silent for a moment. I glanced at Marthe, who mouthed, What the fuck? Elizabeth? I asked, stepping toward the woman, the part-time goddess and the scariest lawyer I knew, not sure whether I was seriously attempting to soothe her or otherwise bond in any way. Karkaroff wasn't exactly the bonding type. Nothing, nothing, she spun around, flipping her hair over her shoulder, and the remnants of a sad smile from her otherwise stony face. Shut the door and sit down. We have much to discuss before you leave for the set of American Minions. And when is that exactly? I asked, checking my watch. Elizabeth thumbed through a stack of papers on her desk. Here it is. Principal photography begins tomorrow. She smiled pleasantly. Tomorrow? My mouth dropped open. Wendy's sources were definitely on the ball. Despite not getting paid, the gossip blogging thing did produce some interesting and accurate blather. Marthe joined me on the couch, smoothing her skirt under her and her ass and sneering at me for monitoring her, presumably. Karkaroff leaned against her desk and continued, shrugging off my horror at the heightened timeline. I don't need to tell you this agency is on its last leg. The show's going to help, but we'll need to make some cuts to keep us afloat until then. She accentuated the statement with a dramatic scissoring with her fingers. I spun on Marthe. We could get rid of your personal assistant. She smushed up her face around her nose, as though someone had thrown a turd into the room. Of course, that would have been me. Well, I don't see how that would. On cue, Cupcake buzzed in like a horsefly to catch a whiff. An ill-proportioned little pixie who favored crocheted berets and odd pastels like creamsicle and puce to anything resembling an actual hat, and an unnerving habit of spraying sparkles from her fingertips as she typed, like that's useful. I have your raspberry-scented oxygen set up for your beauty break, ma'am, she said, eyes batting in adoration of Marthe. Her boss simply rolled her eyes and seethed, her ability to defend the use of company employee for her own luxury treatments neutered by the girl's lack of tact. Not that she could even breathe, so the whole thing was just weird. "You're right," Martha said, and then turned to Cupcake, her hands clasped pleasantly. "Cupcake?" "Yes," more eye-batting. "You're fired." Cupcake's mouth dropped open. "You heard me. Pack your knitting needles, drawers full of Pez dispensers, office birthday charts, and don't forget that row of troll dolls congregating on top of your computer monitor. If I see that you've left them, even a one, I'll blowtorch them like a rainbow puddle of plastic and mail it to you with your final paycheck." Martha scanned her palms, perhaps for her conscience. Finding none, she looked up. "Such as it is." "But—" a glittery tear slid down Cupcake's cheek. Martha reached toward the pixie, and for a second I thought I'd be witnessing a rare moment of tenderness. That is, before she curled her finger around the salty drop and slurped it up like the monster she was. The monster I created, well, with the help of whatever fucked-up childhood she'd been party to. I often imagined Martha burning down her decrepit orphanage, nuns included, despite the fact that her parents lived in a planned community outside Philadelphia and participated in the weekend farmers market. Cupcake burst into a major meltdown, running from the room full tilt, slamming into the opposite wall as she went, clumsy as a kindergarten tantrum, without the promise of hugs at the end. I felt for her, I really did, just not as much as I felt for my wallet. "Well, that solves one problem," Karkaroff spat. "Couldn't stand that little freak anyway. Did I ever tell you about the time I had to use the toilet after her? She left sparkles all over the seat." "I wish you would have. We could have made a sign," I said, fiddling a cigarette between my lips. "How we let you talk us into hiring it is a testament to your frighteningness," she thought a moment. "Is that even a word?" A few more employees trudged through and out the door with their little cardboard boxes full of crap and the same sour faces. It would have been depressing, but really, it's true what they say, misery loves company. If I'm hitting the skids, you better be too. Of course, the skids never looked so good. It could have gone on like that all afternoon, but I had things to wrap up in my office before getting ready for dinner. Fabulousness is not automatic, no matter what you tell yourself, and the only thing that would take my mind off all the crap I'd been enduring was the unstoppable ribbing Gil would receive about his blind date. Plus, we were meeting at Skin Shoe, a hot new restaurant catering to zombies or something. The lines were around the block last week when it opened. I don't want you to take my bitching about Birch to suggest that I'm unenthusiastic. Quite the contrary. I'm excited about the show, the way I see it, I said. If we can build up enough buzz, the show can be a cash cow, our own personal cash cow. Martha put her bitch face back on, leaning against the couch arm and glowering. "Do you know anything about the contestants? Reality shows only work by catering to the lowest common denominator. The characters have to be freaks, drama queens, and prone to irrational outbursts and impromptu fist-fighting." "You say that like it's a bad thing." I winked at Elizabeth, who I knew was in love with Jersey Devil House Party. And who could blame her? It had everything. Skanky, trailer-trash nymphos, exceptionally stupid muscleheads in chains, and one badass Jersey Devil that gave the tagline, "You've been cut," a whole new meaning. "Oh, God, no." Martha kicked off from the edge of the table and fondled the book spines on Karkaroff's shelves as she stalked the room. "I love 'em. When Veronique flashed her patch on tapping and that bottle of cyanide fell out of her snooch, well, if I had functioning neurons, I would have had a stroke. We could be so lucky to get a true trash titan like Veronique. It only takes one breakout. Remember Chastity from Death Camp 5? Of course you don't, but I do. Death Camp was the show about fat supernaturals struggling to lose weight in this weird Siberian camp setting. It had Nazis and evil nurses, both seemingly essential ingredients of anything entertaining. Each show concluded with a death march, and not of the goose-stepping, shoeless, wintry variety either. The contestants ran on treadmills, cantilevered over a huge meat grinder. The first one to drop, well, you can figure it out. I'll leave it at that. I've only got like a minute left. Anyway, there's just some reading. There's some battle for you. Comes out on 23rd of February, and so that means by March you should be able to get it in most of the stores and on ebooks and things like that. So let's keep it talking. What's funny about this whole thing is I don't even know Angie. I know she writes books. I've seen her covers. So anyway, that's it. Bye.